All right, we are starting our integer and algebra unit, and integers are a fancy word for all whole numbers and their opposites. So examples of integers, I wrote a few up here on the board, are 5, 7, negative 12, 0, negative 3, and 9. So these are all whole numbers, and all their opposites are also the integers as well. So here I have a number line. All of my red numbers are my negatives. All my black numbers are their positives. So again, if we start at 0 and go to the right, we have all positive numbers. If we go from 0 to the left, we have negative numbers. If we took our number line and folded it in half, all of our numbers would match and they are the same distance from 0 from each other. So if we look at negative 4 and 4, they are called opposites of each other. So this seems pretty simple. So if we think about the opposite of 5, we would go to the other side of the number line. So if we folded it in half, what would match up with it? It would be negative 5. So the opposite of 5 is negative 5. So if I have negative 7, if I go all the way over here to where negative 7 would be, and I folded it up, it would be positive 7. All right, let's think about 0. What's the opposite of 0? Well, again, if I folded my number line in half, the opposite of 0 would be 0 because it would be in the same exact spot. All right, so we'll refold it. So opposites are where the number flips from positive to negative or negative to positive, or in 0's case, it would be the same. So let's think about this for a minute. If I want the opposite of negative 2, so let's think about this. What is the opposite of negative 2? Just the opposite of negative 2. It would be positive 2. So we would flip the sign. So if we wanted the opposite of that, it then would be negative 2 again. So when I have the opposite of the opposite, it actually flips the sign twice because I have two opposites in there. So the opposite of negative 2 is still negative 2. So that one stays the same because I've got the two opposites written there. So one opposite flips the sign once, two opposites flip the signs twice. So if I had the opposite of the opposite of the opposite, so three of them, then it would go positive, negative, positive. So if I added one more of the opposite in here, so if I had the opposite of the opposite of the opposite of negative 2, that would be positive 2. And some of you realize that odd opposites flip the sign once and evens flip the sign twice. Okay, so what kind of words describe positive and negative integers? So we have words in our daily life that signify something is a positive or a negative, such as weather. We deal with positive and negatives a lot here in Ohio with weather. So obviously in the summer, we're in the positives. We've got warm weather. Everything is above 0. And in the winter, we sometimes have temperatures that go below 0. So those would be our negative numbers. So here are just a handful of words that describe a positive integer or a negative integer. So a gain. So for those of you who enjoy football, if we gain 5 yards, that means we're going in the positive direction. We're going towards the goal. We're gaining 5 yards. A negative would be a loss. So let's say that the quarterback was sacked behind the line of scrimmage, and that would be a loss of yards. So that would be a negative integer. If we go up, so let's say we jump 5 feet above sea level, that would be a positive number. Or if we jump down, like into a hole, so that would be negative. All right. Going up as an increase, so this could be increase in temperature, increase of money, increase in time that it takes you to walk somewhere. Decrease, so that would be going down. Um, Profit is a new word for you guys. You might have done some of it in your social studies class in 5th grade with economics. So when you make money, it's a profit. When you deposit money into your bank account, that is a positive for your bank account. I know a lot of you think that, well, I'm taking money into my bank account, so I'm losing that money, it's going into the bank, but your bank account goes up. So that's a deposit, that's a positive thing. Where when you withdraw money, again, a lot of you would think, well, I'm withdrawing money, so I'm getting money. That would be a positive. But no, actually, when you withdraw money in terms of banking, that is a negative. So your bank account actually subtracts that. So it's a minus sign, and that would be a negative symbol. So these are just a handful of these words that symbolize a positive and a negative. So what about neither positive or negative? Well, that is our friend integer 0. So when we have the integer 0, so I'm going to write integer 0. Okay, so 0. I'm going to write slash mark so it looks like a 0, not an O. Integer 0, that is no gain, no positive or negative. And that one is usually signified in 6th grade as sea level. We use that word a lot in 6th grade, sea level. So 0 represents sea level. There's no positive or negative, and that is how we determine elevation in our world based off of sea level. So those are just a handful of words that signify positive, negative, and our one phrase that we need to know for integer 0, which is sea level.